Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is 69 years old. He is from Australia. And he is writing in today to share some stories throughout his life about what caused him to go down the RP path. You're going to see here, guys, that he really lays out some good old school masculine wisdom on the young guys out there to really help them out. And also to show you guys that the things that I talk about and teach, if you will, doesn't make a difference. It's not just here for the United States or this part of the world. It goes everywhere. Human nature is human nature. Wherever you live, what part of the world you're in, whatever your culture is, religion, whatever. Men are men, women are women, end of freaking story. And he's going to share some definite old school mentality, things he's learned over his years, 69 years on this planet, that reinforces all the things I talk about. So I thought it'd be a very good one to go over here, guys, to talk about, to show you things that he's learned along the way, examples in his life, and it backs up everything I say. So for you guys out there that maybe you didn't have a grandfather growing up, he died, or your father wasn't there for you, didn't teach you the things you need to know, here's some old school wisdom on about the things I talk about. That would be a good one to cover here. So he starts off, he says, Hi SSM. Firstly, while I watch you solely for entertainment purposes, as I don't need advice, he says, I took the RP in my teens, I do admire what you do for the young guys out there in teaching them, not only about female nature, but also on how to succeed in life and become a strong, successful man like yourself. Well, bro, I appreciate you and all the other guys out there watching me every day. I've written a few stories to you about my experiences in the past. You featured one of them about the time I had a one-night stand with a married woman who went on to tell me that she didn't feel guilty about cheating because it was her therapy. Another two are probably too short and stock standard stories. Anyway, and you probably didn't believe the last one that involves my girlfriend's daughter and revenge cheating, as it's so bizarre. But I can tell you that's true, and they're still going shit on to the story around that story. Well, I remember your first story, sir. Anyway, on my 69th birthday, I was hit by a feeling of sadness over the death of my friend Mark and a desire to write you. Mark was the most decent, lovable guy you could ever meet. He was in his 50s and boasted about the fact that he had only slept with one woman. She was his high school sweetheart, who he had started dating when they were both 16 years old. He was on top of the world at the time because the company he owned had just signed the biggest contract in its history. You can imagine my shock when in December of 2021, I got the news that Mark had thrown himself off a building. It just didn't make sense to me as he was on such a high the week before. Then I got to hear the reason why. His wife, the woman he loved unconditionally all his life, had cheated. I'm sorry about your friend, man, and that's such a shame. But guys, nobody's worth ending it all for. But this guy, he thought he had the unicorn, the one, and she was cheating on him. You have to always have your eyes peeled. You have to always look for those red flags and trust your gut and act upon them. And understand that anything is possible with human nature. This hit me really hard, and it was the third time I had lost a friend for this reason. In 1984, my mate Hugh was madly in love with a woman, and she cheated, blamed him, and broke up with him. 2 days later, he put a weapon to his head. In 1990, a coworker who I was also friends with named Chris started dating a girl, Kez, who was the company pass-around. Chris refused to listen to any advice about her and fell madly in love. Apparently, he discovered her cheating, and one morning Kez walked out to the door to see Chris hanging from a tree at the side of her house. Holy shit, what is with these Australian women? But also, what is with these, no offense, but these guys? Ending it all for these gals? No. There's too much to live for. Everybody goes through hard times, and have people betray them. It's not worth ending it all. And I don't mean disrespect, but I'm being honest here. He said there should never be any woman on the planet that is worth ending your life over or bringing you to the point of alcoholism or drug use. I wholeheartedly agree. They are replaceable, and I can tell you that in the dark, the hoo-ha of a woman who is a 3, 4, 5, or 6 feels just as good as one who's a 7, 8, 9, or 10. Well, we can agree to disagree. Yes, they feel the same for the most part, but I'm not getting anywhere near anything less than a fucking 6, dude. My first job ever was a Domino's Pizza. And I was 16, and one of the guys that was a part-time driver there, he was probably in his 40s at the time, he saw all the young girls working there, and the girls liked me and all that, and he was telling me, he's like, man, whatever, I'm not going to tell you my fucking name, but he says to me, hey, they all feel good, doesn't make a difference what they look like, and even at 16, I'm like, I beg to differ, sir. He says, in fact, the best SCX I ever had was a woman who was so ugly, I'd rate her a 1, but I was drunk at a party and ended up back at her place. I often had regrets the next day, at one-night stands, but no regrets with her whatsoever. Well, she's your story around having a round of beers with your bros about the most ugly chick ever. All of us have had that one girl that we hooked up with because we were drunk, and the next day we're like, what the hell was I thinking? All of us. As I said, I was RP'd in my teens. I am what you would call an observer of human behavior. I was also an avid reader when I was younger, and combined with what I observed with women and what I read, it was quite obvious that the sweet, loyal, caring homemaker stereotype I grew up with was the exception rather than the rule. That is the exception. It is very rare in today's world, especially. It was rare when you were younger, but it's even more rare nowadays. I became a contradiction. On the one hand, I love women, and I always have. On the other hand, I've had used so many of them and discarded them cruelly. I became a scumbag Chad around my mid-20s and remained so for decades after that. I'm 6'2", and good body and antisocial personality. In other words, I get a lot of female attention. I stay in good shape, so I still do, but now it's from women who are in their 40s. I won't tell you my body count. I would give you an honest guesstimate, but you might divide it by 3 because of the old chestnut that I give no credence to. Some men and probably many women are dishonest about body count, but I don't believe the divide by 3 or multiply by 3 is applicable very often. Well, my experience, I think, is very applicable. The old joke is whatever number a guy gives you about his body count divided by 3, because guys are full of shit, and they just want to make it a higher number. You ask a woman what her body count is, and whatever it is, you multiply by 3 because guarantee it's way more than she wants to admit. Apart from my height, looks, and personality, I had one other thing going for me, and it was not the size of my member. As a teen, I studied everything I could on female anatomy, physiology, erogenous zones, as well as S-word techniques. I also became a qualified massage therapist. I had a high libido, still do, and put knowledge into practice. I took charge in the bedroom and could adapt my bedroom game to suit whatever pushed a woman's buttons. I'm not recommending that guys can or do exactly what I did, but it is important to get your bedroom game in order. A woman who is unsatisfied in the bedroom is always going to cheat. I did a story yesterday on the They Did What channel about the situation just like that. A woman getting great SCX may still cheat, as women are still emotional and unpredictable, but the odds of cheating are greatly reduced. As far as I know, I was never cheated on, but how can you be sure? You can't be sure. You can't. That's a problem. A lot of guys ask me, SSM, how am I supposed to know? Or how can I trust that she won't do it? Or I want to do relationships, but how do I know she won't cheat on me? You don't, because they are so freaking good at putting on the show, covering their tracks. They can get Oscars for their performances. You all know this from life experience and also the stories. But what you can do is learn to spot the red flags, listen to your gut, act upon it, and when you find out about bad behavior, you check them, you call them on that. And if you find out indeed they cheated, you walk away. That's what you do. But there's no way you can possibly be 100% certain or stop them unless you're locking them away in a freaking dungeon or something. It says here, when it comes to workplace flings, I have one piece of advice. Don't do it. I worked in the recording industry, which had a large number of female employees, for 4 years in the 1980s, and had flings with 9 female coworkers. To my disgrace, 2 were married, and I had a one-night stand with one who was engaged and due to be married in a month. I know I'm a scumbag for doing that, and you can smack me harder than I smack myself now. Anyhow, things became so uncomfortable at work, I had no option but to quit the industry. Yeah, you were a Chad, and not cool, dude, hooking up with fucking married women and all that. But then again, they had no problem hooking up with you. Perfect example. And again, this is back in the 80s. So it doesn't make a difference where you are in the world, as well as the time period. Human nature is human nature. Men are going to do what they do. Women are going to do what they do. And yes, don't hook up with your coworkers. Where you work, guys, is a place to earn your paycheck, grow your career. You can meet women elsewhere. It's not worth jeopardizing your livelihood for, especially in today's world, thanks to the M2 movement. He says, somehow I married a woman who was a unicorn in so many ways. Before we split after 36 years together, I never had a single red flag. She was friends with a couple I knew, and she had a reputation for being the town virgin. She got hit on a lot, but always rejected advances. It was a surprise when she asked me out on a date, and I accepted. She was from a very good family in the entertainment industry. I told her I was not the right guy for her on our first date, but she knew my reputation and said it didn't worry her. The fact that you told her, I'm not the right guy for you, that turned her on. And she obviously knew about your history, called the pre-selection, the social proof, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. All the other women wanted you, so therefore she wanted you, even though knowing darn well your reputation, because it's like, well, this is the guy everybody wants. He's a prize to me. That's how it works. On the other hand, when a guy finds out a gal's been hooking up with every dude in town, they're like, ugh, I don't want her as a girlfriend. Oh, hell no. Maybe a quick hookup, but girlfriend? Fuck no. And that's what a lot of gals nowadays can't understand. It's different. That wasn't entirely true, as she was always insecure and untrusting through our relationship due to my past. Well, you can't blame her, dude. As I said, you said recently, once a man has a woman's soul, then there is nothing anyone can do to break her free of that man. I believe this was certainly the case with my ex-wife. We never experienced a dead bedroom for 36 years. We had 3 kids, so some weeks when they were very young, we were a bit worn down, and we only had sex 2 or 3 nights that week, but it was a constant throughout our time together. Well, that is rare, but you made a point clear. You understand a woman's body very well. You obviously had a lot of game and experience in the bedroom. You were the prize to her. You turned her on, so of course she wanted to tear her clothes off all the time. How many guys out there that are married right now or were married, and that literally, after they got married, that's it. The well dried up. There was no more SCX. To give an example, she always wanted me every available minute, and I felt maybe she needed to take a night off from me and the kids for a change. I enlisted my sister to take her to a male strip show. I think it was called Manpower. Anyway, off she went, and as well as my sister, all happy. I waited up, and they returned just after 11 p.m. However, they were both not speaking to each other, and my sister was red in the face and looked angry. My sister is a party gal and enjoys letting her hair down when she gets a chance. My wife refused to say anything, and so I asked my sister what had happened. My sister told me that my wife was a wet blanket all night. She complained about missing me, complained about how pathetic the strippers dancing were, and even laughed at them for being girly men. Well, I know definitely, from what I've heard, there are definitely male strippers out there that they're gay. Just how there are also female strippers that are lesbians. So it's, to them it's like, no big deal. My sister said she ruined her night with her attitude. Yes, there are loyal women like my ex-wife out there, but unfortunately, they often ended with guys like me. In the end, though, we split up amicably as we grew to be a polar opposites of each other, and she became addicted to reality TV and drama at her job. Her department was 100% female, so there was constant drama year after year. Shocker. I started withdrawing more, and she asked me one day if I was happy. I told her no, we talked it over, and came to a mutual conclusion that the marriage had hit its use-by date. So here I am now at 69 years old, 2 years into a relationship with a woman in her 50s who's another unicorn, and I'm having the best fun of my long life. That's great, man. You've done things in your life I don't agree with, and at least you admit that was pretty fucking low, hooking up with the married women and all that, but you were younger, and at least you admit that. I respect that, and you're teaching young guys not to do that. So I wish you a lot of happiness. Now here's some pieces of advice he gives to the younger guys here. He says, my advice to the young guys who want a relationship is similar to yours. Number 1, be the man in the relationship. Take charge and do not tolerate disrespect. You've all heard me say this, guys. Be the freaking man. Be the leader. Take charge. Women, feminine women, do not want a guy that's going to follow them around. It turns them off. They want a masculine guy. And he said here also, don't take their crap or disrespect. Translation, you check them. They're being bitchy, disrespectful, You check them. You call them on it. Doesn't mean you got to scream at them and throw things at them or act like an asshole, but you call them on it. And of course, your reaction and way you check will mirror and match how they're behaving. It could be something simple as you're supposed to meet them for dinner, and your girlfriend or wife shows up 30 minutes late without telling you. You got reason to check her. Things like that. Women do not respect guys that are weak and are doormats. Number 2, do not ignore red flags. The moment a red flag appears, investigate and take action. How many times in this story, guys, these guys, they see the red flags, but they ignore them because they don't want to believe it. And as it turns out, the red flag was quite accurate. You are aware of the red flags and you act upon it. Number 3, get your bedroom game in order. Yes, just like the story I did yesterday on They Did What. Women want a guy that in the bedroom, unless she is the dominant type, because there are gals out there. By and large, the woman wants the guy to take charge in the bedroom. I don't need to elaborate what that means, but you guys can figure that out. Number 4, know your worth. Be prepared to walk away if your woman crosses a boundary, regardless of how much you think you're in love. Yes. In other words, a woman has to know, no matter what, guys, if she pushes you too far, she shows you too much disrespect, gives you too much bullshit, whatever that may be, that she pushes you too far, you're out of there. You're going to walk. Even if you get destroyed in the family courts and you're paying all this goddamn money and she gets the house and the kids, you're still going to walk. They need to know that. Women do not respect a guy who they know is going to put up with all their bullshit and then they can do whatever they want to. Okay? Again, they'll never love a guy they don't respect. Number 5, remember, no woman is worth committing self-harm over. There's always a woman to replace her, and often it's a lot better one. Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame these guys, like he said, he had 3 friends when he was younger, found out their wives or girlfriends were cheating and killed themselves. I mean, it's not worth it. I get the pain. I've been cheated on. It feels awful, and you want to end it, but no. There's too much life worth to live. And you improve yourself, and, well, you know, probably after that you don't want to have another woman, but you get the point. They can be replaced. Number 6, never make a woman the center of your universe. How many times have I said that one? Women don't respect guys and put them on the pedestal, and they act like the woman is the guy's sole reason for living. They like the guy that is ambitious and driven in his purpose, and his goals is number 1. Notice the biggest difference between bad boys and nice guys. Bad boys always put themselves first. Meanwhile, nice guys always put the girls first. And number 2, bad boys always check women on their bullshit and are willing to walk away. You're aware of this. Nice guys next to never check women on their bullshit because they're afraid that they'll leave them. The woman doesn't respect him. They sees him as a pussy. She does more bullshit, and round where he goes a downward spiral. Number 7, be wary of woman's past. Past behaviors indicate future actions. Yes, 100%. Number 8, avoid simp behavior, constantly buying gifts, flowers, chocolates, etc. These things are reserved for special occasions only. Yes, your relationship, guys, I got no problem if she is a good girlfriend or wife and it treats you well and is loyal and loving and supportive, has your back, all these positive qualities. I got no problem on occasion, you know, throwing her a surprise or on her birthday or anniversary, some flowers or gifts, whatever, but not all the fucking time. And this is when she's your girlfriend or wife, like you're in an actual relationship. You're not, the worst thing a guy can do is he's just dating a girl and he's giving her all these gifts and stuff like that. He's like basically buying her affection. That will completely turn off a gal. That is a guy trying too hard, but nice guys do this bullshit. And of course, you see that kind of crap in the movies. Number 9, I think it's number 9. Do not have flings with women you work with. Don't shit where you eat. I explained that, and again, don't hook up with women you work with. No need to jeopardize your career. Number 10, do not get married young Number 10, do not get married young if you are that way inclined. Maturity brings knowledge and greater perception. I tell you guys all the time, I wouldn't even bother thinking about this until you're close to 30 years old. And even then, fuck it, wait till your 30s. Your 20s is for your grind, making something yourself, getting yourself established, your degrees, your certifications, putting away money, living cheap. The younger you are and you start putting money away in various investments that can grow over the decades, the better it is. The numbers prove it. You don't believe me? Look it up. And also, you're going to get more life experience and all that. when people get married super young, it's crazy, and you see how the majority end. And I don't want to hear that my grandpa got married at 19, he was with my grandma for 50 years, they loved each other, blah, blah, blah. That was a different time period. Number 11. I think it's 11. It's 11 now. Number 11. Do not constantly ring or text her. You will only look needy and insecure. In fact, let her be the one to ring and text you. Yes, bombarding her with attention, chasing after her, that's feminine behavior. How can a guy who's a catch and on his purpose, on his grind, have the time to constantly bombard his girl with text messages and phone calls and whatever form of communication is? Right? That shows her that he's more into her than she's into him. She never has time to miss him, think about him, wonder, because he's always bombarding her with fucking messages and everything. But I have a girl I know, she was single, this is years ago before she met her husband. She used to tell me that so many guys behave like what she called junior high girls. They always want to text and talk and bombard her. And guess what? She was done with them, even though initially she liked them or was attracted to them because they act like junior high girls. Don't do that, guys. The only reason you should be calling or texting is if she contacts you and you're responding when you're ready, because you're busy, of course, and or you're reaching out and you're figuring out, you're setting plans for a date or something like that. That's it. And last one, number 12. Don't ever think about number 12. Don't ever think that the passage of time will prevent a woman from cheating. Red flags can start to appear decades into a marriage. Yes, I've done stories like this where seems the guy, they had a good marriage, and then whatever happened, and then 20 years later she's cheating, and it turns out that she actually never cheated before, but 20 years later. So don't ever think that I'm on easy street now, we've had a great marriage, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that, she'll never do that. No, it happens, unfortunately. Pay attention to the red flags, trust your gut, etc., etc. So this is great pieces of advice. A guy who is 24 years older than me, and he's saying the same freaking thing I've been telling you guys since day one. Another country, different life, but again, human nature is human nature. Listen to his pieces of advice. So for you young guys out there, this is some old school wisdom, which he's backing up what I tell you every day. And you listen to this guy, you're going to be all right. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Sir, thank you for writing in your story. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.